Namaskar. Sound up. I welcome each and everyone, every sincere aspirant, to every committed warrior, to this beautiful spiritual discourse for a fresh episode. Believe me, my dear friends, there is no exaggeration in my teachings. Believe me, the truth is the grandest Sanatana Sampradaya, the grandest saints, the so-called scholarly beings, the enlightened beings, have sacrificed their lives, have relinquished everything, and they have contemplated with a beautiful introspection. They have analyzed themselves. They were able to go into the roots of humanity, and then they were able to discover, find out some beautiful truths. And the beautiful truths, the beautiful accomplishments, their discoveries, all of them finally they were into a written scriptures. They have become beautiful scriptures which are called as Vedas, Upanishads, Itihas, Purana. So many are there. But in one incarnation, it is almost impossible for an aspirant to go through and analyze and understand the insight of all these valuable scriptures, the so-called Vedas, Upanishads, Itihas and Puranas. It is almost impossible for a human being to analyze the insight of all these beautiful scriptures in one particular incarnation. I don't mean to tell you that it is not possible to read. Reading is different. Analyzing and understanding the insight of those beautiful teachings, they both are quite different to each other. So, it is almost impossible for an entity in one particular incarnation to have the fullest knowledge of all these findings, comprehensive knowledge of all these findings. That is why those scholarly beings, they have advised humanity, they have advised human race. If you go through this one particular Bhagavad Geetha, which consists of 18 chapters and which is a sum of 700 slokas approximately. If you could analyze and if you could understand the insight of these 700 slokas, and if you are successful in having a comprehensive knowledge of this Gita, it is enough. You'll be sufficiently matured, you'll be sufficiently enlightened. You are on par with the enlightenment of all these scriptures. Your enlightenment is on par with the enlightenment of all these scriptures. So this Bhagavad Gita is equivalent to all the Vedas, Itihas, Upanishads and all those things. Fine. Especially, that is why today also I want to teach you the crux of Bhagavad Gita. The crux of Bhagavad Gita. So far we have understood some accomplishments. So far we have accomplished some certain accomplishments. Today also let us revise and recap the crux of Bhagavad Gita, which we have learned so far. The first and foremost thing is the company of a guru, the company of an enlightened being, the company of a master teacher, how valuable it is, the melancholy, the tragedy, the depression, the disappointment of the aspirant, the depression also, the disappointment also has flowered into a beautiful yoga. That is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. An aspirant is so much riddled in humanity, anchored to humanity, loaded with ignorance, anchored to humanity. But an aspirant who is loaded with ignorance, anchored to humanity, even that aspirant, in the beautiful guidance and the company of an enlightened being, a master teacher, the depression, disappointment, everything ultimately they have flowered into a beautiful yoga. That is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The melancholy has miraculously transformed into an enlightenment. The melancholy has miraculously transformed into an enlightenment. That is the magic of a company of an enlightened being, the master teacher. That is the magic of an enlightened being, the company of a master teacher. And that particular chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And the magical part of entire Bhagavad Gita, my dear friends, the so-called metaphysics, which is called as Sanatana Sampradaya. I love that beautiful chapter. It's an eloquence. It's an eloquence. The so-called beautiful second chapter. It is a beautiful elixir. It is an eloquence. It is an elixir. Every single word uttered by Lord Sri Krishna directly is like a mantra which enables us to go back to our innate consciousness, which allows us, it is a teaching, but it is not a teaching, it's an invitation for our invocation. It's an invitation for our innate consciousness, I believe. The metaphysics, the Sanatana, the beautiful Sankhya Shastra, the metaphysics. Metaphysics, the so-called the Sankhya Shastra, it is a blend of Dvaita, it is a blend of Advaita and Visishta Advaita. It is a blend of Dvaita, Advaita and Visishta Advaita. I repeat, the so-called Sankhya Shastra is a blend of Advaita and Visishta Advaita. As I already made it very clear, the first and foremost beautiful verbiage uttered by Lord Sri Krishna is Asochan. Asochan. From sloka number 11 up to 38 is a beautiful elixir of Advaita. I repeat, my dear aspirants. From sloka number 11 up to 38, every single sentence, it is like a prasthan. It is like a voyage to the new world. It is like a voyage to the spiritual world. Voyage, no journey. It's like a voyage to the spiritual world. The magical performance of soul, the pervading nature of the spirit, the innate consciousness which is the immortality of the soul, the so-called soul, the so-called spirit which has never ever experienced the stupidities called birth and death, which is always beyond the materialistic realm. The grandness of soul, the grandness of spirit has been taught in the slokas from 11 to 38. Fine. Fine. Yes, it is an undisputed fact that we are not the embodiments. We are souls. We are spirits. We belong to higher consciousness. We belong to divine lokas. Fine. That is an undisputed truth. But the so-called beautiful light beings, now we have preferred to stay for a while in the materialistic world, materialistic realm. Accordingly, we have preferred an embodiment. Now, we are in the limitations of the physical world. We are in the limitations of the embodiment, which is having certain physical properties, which is limited by certain physical properties. The physical embodiment has certain physical properties, certain limitations. And the physical embodiment stays in this physical world, which is also having certain limitations and physical properties. And this so-called Earth planet is part and parcel of this galaxy, and this galaxy is also having certain limitations and the properties. Okay? Then, though you are a soul, though you are an immortal being, though you are a pervading entity, though you are the creator of this beautiful consciousness, though you are the creator of this beautiful universe, then how should you handle your embodiment? How should you handle your character? How should you handle the limitations of physicality? Fine, it's an undisputed truth that you belong to higher realms, you are a consciousness, you are a light being, but right now, you are very much part and parcel of the embodiment, and the embodiment is the part and parcel of this physical world, which is loaded with limitations, which is loaded with certain physical properties. How do you handle with that? That is Vishishtadvaita. When the Advaita has entered into the realm of Dvaita and has begun to live a Visishta, that is called as Vishishtadvaita. When the Advaita has entered into the world of Dvaita and began to live the life of Advaita, but in a peculiar manner, that is called as Vishishtadvaita. I repeat, yes, undoubtedly we are Advaita. But the Advaita has entered into the realm of Dvaita. And it is fortunate enough to realize that it is not Dvaita, but it is Advaita. Then the Advaita has begun to, and the modus operandi of the realized Advaita is in a specific manner. The modus operandi of the realized Advaita in Dvaita is of a specific manner. That specific modus operandi of the Advaita is called as Vishishtadvaita. From sloka number 39 to 72, I believe, all these are Vishishtadvaita. That is why the grandest Sankhya Shastra is a blend of two beautiful phenomenon concepts. One is Advaita and the other is Vishishtadvaita. Advaita means the pure nature of a divine consciousness. The pure nature of divine consciousness, the oneness. Vishishtadvaita, that oneness is now embodied into a physical embodiment, is a very much part and parcel of the physical world. How that Advaita deals how that Advaita deals with this Dvaita, and that specific modus operandi of Advaita, a realized Advaita in the realm of Dvaita is Vishishtadvaita. That is why, and I love that beautiful chapter and the metaphysics. The metaphysics is Sankhya Shastra. That is the thing. And from the point of view of Lord Sri Krishna, is successful in delivering the entire teaching. Is successful in delivering the bunch of slokas, loaded with not nuts, loaded with knowledge, tons of knowledge. Fine. But this person is suffering with some doubts. And I tell you at this juncture, I just also want to remind you, from the beginning I have been teaching all my aspirants that the so-called karma cannot be misunderstood as if it is as if it is limited to the outcome, as if it is limited to the outcome of the action of the embodiment. From the beginning, my version is only one thing. The so-called beautiful karma cannot be limited to an action which is the result of the action of the embodiment, which is the result of the action of the embodiment. Am I clear? My dear aspirants, today also, categorically I am emphasizing on one particular point. The beautiful verbiage, the beautiful term, which is called as karma, cannot be limited to an action which is the outcome of the moment of the physical embodiment. The karma is the replica of the physicality. The karma is the replica of entire materialistic world. The karma is the replica of the entire lower vibration, materialistic vibration. And I'm fortunate enough, the same thing I was able to, the same thing has been substantiated in this grandest scripture. The magical thing is, from 39, Lord Sri Krishna, he has just taught Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, so far I have explained this beautiful jnana from a particular point of view, which is called as knowledge. Now I am going to teach the same thing from a different point of view, which is called as Karmayoga, That is very much, the word is being used by Lord Sri Krishna himself in the 39. But from 39 up to 72, nothing, not even a single word has been uttered about this karma, which is very much visible in chapter number 3. Am I clear? Am I clear, my dear? Again, from my prism, from my point of view, I have sufficiently accomplished the grandest finding. My finding is, the grandest word used by Lord Sri Krishna, which is called as karma, is not limited to the action, the so-called action, which is the outcome of the movements of the physical embodiment. Okay? From the beginning, from the day one, I am making it very clear, the karma is the replica of the physical embodiment, the karma is the replica of the physical world, the karma is the replica of the entire humanity, the karma is the replica of the materialistic world, the lower frequency. The same has been substantiated by this beautiful scripture. How? Lord Sri Krishna has categorically made it very clear. I have been teaching this. I have been teaching this knowledge from a particular point of view. Now I am going to teach the same thing from a different prism, from a different point of view. And the term of that different point of view is Karma Yoga. Okay? Namely, the Karma Yoga. And surprisingly, from 40 to 72, not even a single sentence has been uttered which reflects this action, the so-called action of the physical embodiment. And that is very much visible in chapter number 3. Chapter number 3, cannot conduct your embodiment without doing karma. It is inevitable for an enlightened being also. Even if you endeavor to do not doing, it is not possible. In the chapter number 3, the karma very much reflects the actions of the physical embodiment, but in chapter number 2, from 39 to 72, nowhere the physical action of the embodiment is not visible. So the true meaning of karma from the point of view of Lord Sri Krishna is the modus operandi of Advaita in Dvaita, which is called as Visishta Advaita. That, am I clear? Am I clear? From 39 to 72, he said, I am going to teach you about Karma Yoga. But not even a single sentence speaks about the action of the physical embodiment, which is very much visible in third chapter. But what is he said? I will teach you about Karma Yoga. And what he has taught? How should you deal with your physicality? How should be your thinking pattern? You know pretty well, no? Vyavasayatmaka buddhi. You know you should understand the insight of the beautiful teachings. You should not go for the outward meaning, physical meaning. Okay? From the three dimensions, if you will understand in a different way. From a multi-dimensional point of view, you will understand in a different way. 42, 43, 44, the Vedas are having different manners. 40, you should have Vyavasayatmaka buddhi. 55, Sthita prajna. If you analyze the teachings from 39 to 72, he has advised an enlightened being, the yoga. Already we are yoga. How? Because our brain is enriched with the knowledge of soul, knowledge of spirit. So we are sufficiently yoga. And what will be the modus operandi of yoga is karma yoga. The modus operandi of yoga is karma yoga. How should you deal with your humanity? How should you handle with your physical embodiment? How should you handle with the physicality? Never ever the action or the movement which is the action which is the result of the embodiment has never been, not even traces are not there. Okay. But unfortunately, Arjuna has misunderstood the karma as the action of the physical embodiment. Krishna was, from the point of view of Krishna, the karma is the replica of the physicality. From the point of view of Arjuna, the karma is the result of the action of the embodiment. Okay? Is the result of the action of embodiment. That is why in the 3rd chapter, he is so confused and he says, why you are asking me to go for a work? Why you are asking me to follow this karma? You said the knowledge is ultimate, but you are still recommending me to go through this path of karma. Then Lord Sri Krishna has understood, oh, I have been using the word karma, keeping in mind a view of physicality, physical world. But this being has misunderstood karma as action. So, fine. It's fine. I'll teach that action. I will teach you about that action which is inevitable like that. This is the important thing you have got to understand. This is the important thing you have got to understand. Am I clear, my dear friends? Okay. Today, I am going to end this episode with these few findings. So, before concluding this episode, I want you to recap the nucleus of today's teachings. I want to recap the nucleus of today's teaching, or the linchpin of the today's teaching. Today, I have been trying to teach you that the grandest scholarly beings, eons before, thousands of years before, those enlightened beings, they have relinquished everything in the physicality. They have relinquished everything in the physicality. They have focused. Though they have not done any meditation, but they have had an introspection. They have had an introspection. They have contemplated into themselves. They were trying to discover the source of humanity, the roots of humanity, the origin of humanity, from where this human being has emerged. They were able to discover the roots are soul, the roots are spirits, we are gods, we are forever beings, and they have accomplished certain beautiful, highest findings. Okay. And those findings somehow, after some thousands of years, they were publicized and they were now available in the form of scriptures, the valuable scriptures. Okay. And those scriptures are called as Sanatana Sampradaya, which are nothing but Vedas, Itihasa, Purana, Astadasha Purana, Vedas, so many are there. Vedas, Upanishad, Itihas, Purana. I tell you, my dear aspirants, it is almost impossible for an entity to analyze the insight of all these scriptures in one particular incarnation. It is almost impossible for one particular entity to analyze the insight of all these scriptures in one particular incarnation. The syllabus is vast, the incarnation is limited. The syllabus is vast. There are only 60 hours, but there are thousands of runs. The target is 20,000 runs. Hours are 60. That's it. So it is almost impossible for a human being, for a sincere aspirant, to analyze the insight of all these beautiful scriptures. That is why those scholarly beings, those master teachers have advised humanity, oh, don't get depressed, don't get disappointed, don't be in a hurry. I will suggest you a way out. I will suggest you a way out. The way out is, the magical key is Bhagavad Geetha. The key factor is Bhagavad Geetha. It comprises of 18 chapters and it is a sum of 700 slokas, a bunch of 700 slokas. O aspirant, if you could understand the insight of this 700 slokas, fine. You get grandest enlightenment, and your enlightenment is on par with the enlightenment if you could, of all the scriptures. They both are equal. I mean to say, this one Bhagavad Gita is equal to all Vedas, all Upanishads, all Ashtadasha Purana, Itihasas. Fine. That is the first and foremost thing today I want you to realize. Fine. And the second thing I have emphasized is the company of a master teacher, the company of the guidance of a master teacher, the company of a beautiful enlightened being. In the presence of enlightened being, the melancholy of the human being is also transformed into the miraculous performance, which is called as yoga. Which is called as yoga. The melancholy of the aspirant. Melancholy means tragedy, sadness. Melancholy means sadness, tragedy, worry. The melancholy, the depression, the disappointment of the aspirant, in the company of an enlightened being, in the guidance of an enlightened being, flowers into yoga. And that I have understood from the very first chapter. The title of the very first chapter is Arjuna Visada Yoga. That is my insight of the first chapter. Coming to second chapter, Sankhya Shastra, the so-called metaphysics. It's a beautiful, miraculous teaching. Especially sloka number 11 starts with Asochan up to 38. That is why don't worry. And he ends his 38, he ends, don't worry, relax, rejoice, never worry, no tragedy, no melancholy. You are a miraculous being. That is why he ends. And if we analyze each particular sentence uttered by Lord Sri Krishna, all the slokas speaks about the grandness of soul, the immortality of soul, the pervading nature of the spirit, that we continue to exist even after we exit from this embodiment. We are the creators of this beautiful universe. That the miraculous performance, the magical performance, the majestic performance of the soul spirit has been very much captivated in sloka number 11 to 38. Fine. That is true. Undisputed fact. Undisputed truth is, we are souls, we are spirits, we are light, not workers. You are a light worker or what? We are not light workers. We are light, magical, mystical beings. Okay. We are the light beings. Fine. That's correct. Truth. But right now, that light being, for a specific spiritual purpose, it has entered into an embodiment. Now it is part and parcel of this physical world. Now it is riddled with so many limitations. Now it has so many obligations. It has an embodiment, it has a family, it has a society. It is very much part and parcel of the social spectrum. How do you handle this physicality? After realizing the truth that you are a soul, you are spirit, you are unlimited entity, you are a pervading entity, you mean to say that you should skip the humanity and run away or die or commit a suicide and go back to your soul's world or what? Then how do you deal with this humanity? What is the way out? Just you are a soul, but right now you are embodied into an embodiment, and this embodiment is part and parcel of this humanity, materialistic world, and you are very much part and parcel of the social spectrum. You have a responsibility. You have so many obligations towards family. You have so many obligations towards society, towards your embodiment. The nature of the physical world, how you should handle, what is the way out? Immediately you should commit a suicide and go back to souls or divine consciousness, or you should skip this physical world and become a renunciant, renouncing everything. What is the way out? That way out is very much being taught from 39 to 72. From 39 to 72. And that, from my point of view, Advaita, when it has entered into the realm of Dvaita, now it is realized, now it has sufficiently realized that it is not Dvaita, but it is Advaita. Again I repeat, my dear aspirants, the Advaita, the beautiful, mystical, majestic, miraculous being has entered into the realm of Dvaita. For a while, it has misunderstood as if it also belongs to Dvaita. But afterwards, it has realized that I don't belong to Dvaita, I belong to Advaita. Now, a realized Advaita in the realm of Dvaita. Now it has begun to, for specific modus operandi has been executed by the Advaita. Now a specific modus operandi has been preferred by the Advaita in the realm of Dvaita. That is Visishta Advaita. That is from 39 to 72. And Lord Sri Krishna has termed it as a Karma Yoga. As a Karma Yoga. From the point of view of Lord Sri Krishna, when he has used the word, he has keeping in the mind. He has used the word keeping in the mind that he is talking about how you should handle the physicality. How should you handle with the physical world? How should you behave in the physical world? And how should you deal with the physicality? Not to enter into your inner consciousness. Not to contaminate your inner consciousness with the physicality. The term karma is being used by Lord Sri Krishna keeping in view, keeping in mind that particular aspect. But unfortunately, Arjuna has misunderstood karma is the action which is result of the movement of the physical embodiment. Then Lord Sri Krishna has understood his problem. Then he has come all the way down to the level of Arjuna. Yes, if you are believing karma as action, I will teach you how you should handle the action. So you mean to, from your point of view, karma is action. So now your doubt is whether I should continue performing the actions, or you mean to say that I should escape and renunciate all these actions. So down to Arjuna's level, he has begun to explain this third chapter. So that is the, from today, here I am going to stop and end this episode. Possibly I will meet you in the next episode. But I want to teach you the crux of my accomplishments, the crux of my perception, the nucleus of my teachings. Okay? And I love you. Never ever get depressed. Never ever get disappointed. Yes, the one and only advice from me is, in spite of all the intricacies we are facing in the real life, with iron fist, let us declare that we are God. Never ever get depression. Never ever get disappointed. And I love you, always with you. And never ever say end, end, to endeavor to enlightenment. Never ever say end to endeavor to enlightenment. Endeavor to enlightenment should be a part and parcel of your life. As long as you are alive and you are continuing with this embodiment, the one and only slogan is endeavor for enlightenment. The more and more, every day your brain should nurture with the beautiful knowledge. All the neurons, they should be nurtured with the fullest, beautiful, grandest truth. Okay? Love you. Namaskar. Jai Hostu.